All right, perfect. So, hello everybody. Welcome to the 11th Magma AMA. I am Sung Yat. Pleased to meet you. I'm a product ecosystem manager at Magma, and I'm here to really just showcase a couple of new features and also very involved with interacting with creators in the community. So that's a bit about me. Bojana, would you like to give a brief introduction to yourself?
Yeah, hello everybody. I'm Bojana and I'm a product designer for Magma. So I design our little features. And yeah, I'm here to show some stuff about art spaces. Very excited.
Lovely, lovely. And what about you, Ryan?
Yes, so I am the quality assurance tester and artist advocate. Most of the features will go through me first before they get released for testing, and we'll also write the guides for those new features. Yeah, that's it in a nutshell.
That's it. Perfect. So, for anyone new in the audience, as normal AMAs go, we normally spend a bit of time in the beginning showing off a couple new features that we have cooking in the lab. And once all that is done and we have a general discussion about what we'd be interested in seeing, about what's coming next, then we're going to take it off to the AMA, in which you will have the opportunity to ask a couple questions, whether in the chat or via the channel. I already do see that we have quite a few questions in the AMA channel, so we'll get to those first just because they were asked early. And then afterwards, with anything else that we want to cover, feel free to ask away. But first, to kick things off, one thing I want to flag is remember that if you are interested in competing, we are currently kicking off another one of our Magma competitions. The theme currently is Lunar Reunions in the spirit of Lunar New Year. For those who are from China or I guess from Korea or other parts of like East Asia, we hope that this is a really fun time. 新年快乐 for all of you. Specifically, when it comes to this, it is going to be a collab art competition. So if you are interested in drawing with two or three of your friends and just coming together, or I guess one or two of your friends, sorry, and coming together and really put something out in the spirit of the Lunar New Year, feel free to do so. And at the end of this, Wacom and Magma will come together and we will judge with regards to the winner. So just a quick disclaimer in case you are interested in maybe putting a team together and really drawing something cool. But okay, so if that is it with regards to that, we want to showcase a couple of our new features that are coming to Magma. So to kick things off, Ryan, would you be interested in showcasing the new brushes that are coming soon?
Yes, sure. Let me just set this up quickly. You might have noticed recently that we've been doing quite a few updates to our brush engine in particular uh, for good reason. We are working with some creators. And the last feature that you would have seen added, let me change my layout here into full mode. It's a little easier to access things. The last setting we added was the dual brush, right, which um, lets you add in a secondary shape into your brush, which is now a bit slow to load. There we go. But the latest one is the texture setting. I have my eraser selected, which it doesn't work with. I have to have the brush. There we go. And just to show you with a basic brush, I've just got the basic ink brush. What it looks like currently is obviously like that, but then we can add in different textures. So now we can get a kind of like rocky look to it. There's a few that have been added in here, a few different like rocky styles. This can add so much extra texture to your brush strokes, especially when you start combining these settings with the dual brush, for example. Let's bring in this one over here, I quite like. And then you can get really like broken up patterns, things that are nicely textured. But there are a few different settings that you can play with here. There is, of course, the scale of it, which we have this image that's here, so you can scale that up and it really distorts it. Or you can make it much smaller and you get a nice sort of repeat pattern of that. So it can vary quite a bit. And layering on top of that starts to get quite interesting. You can adjust the brightness of the pattern, the contrast, which can also just make some of those textures, especially when you start playing with the depth, like stand out much more. Let's bring down this, bump up that contrast. That's really quite strong. So that's the latest setting. But now this is being applied per stroke, and then there's also a setting which just got added today, which is to texture each stamp of your brush, right? So a single brush is a series of stamps that's adjusted with your spacing setting. So now, like, these textures sort of can build up on top of each other. It gets quite dark. If you're using a tablet with a pressure-sensitive stylus, then these effects can be quite a bit more interesting to play with. So of course you can combine various things to make these textures more interesting. This will be a fun one for you to play around with. There's different blend modes as well on the textures, which will cause different effects. You can see it in the preview. So yeah, there'll be some stuff to play around with there. And like I said, part of why we're doing this is because we're partnering with a number of creators who are creating brush packs for us. And we found through this process that some of the settings in the brush packs that they've given we're just not able to support fully yet. So that's been really driving us to level up with our brush engine so that we can support these settings and the creators. And the latest of those creators is Demagogue, who has at least one brush. You can see here you would have seen it with previous creators as well, like Orb, at least one. We have this little banner in the brush list with a whole list of brushes that are available. We're still going to update some things here. We'll get a bit more information about the brushes, a bit about the creator, but there's a nice selection of stuff here. Currently, just for testing purposes, we get to add this for free. And one of these brushes already has the texture setting applied to it, which is this one, this dry paint. So again, with some pressure, the harder you press, the bigger the strokes, and it just has, you zoom out a bit. It's almost like painting onto a canvas with a dry brush, right? You get that canvas texture coming through, which is really quite nice to have. There are a bunch of brushes here. As I mentioned, I was really surprised by how many we got, and there's some really nice ones. This, I haven't even quite figured out some of the textures that are there. And the fun part with it is that part of this is we've even got Demagogue's own alias logo thing going on as one of the shapes, which I had a good chuckle at. Same like with Orb, the character being in there. So we've got bristle ink, which looks really nice. Something.
You want to show off the chain brush? I feel like the chain brush is quite cool.
The chain brush, that has been requested quite a bit, hasn't it? So now if you want to easily add in chains into your pieces, chains sort of like dangling down, we've got two different options for that. Very different kinds of chains. Zippers even, if you want to just in a single brush stroke add a zipper to a jacket, there we go. It's really quite simple. Let's see, there's just so many here. This ribbon edge is quite interesting, which has that really strong outline. And obviously you can go in and tweak these with other settings that we've been adding. You can, change the angle control, for example, to go with the tilt of your pen, and then it can get really wacky when you start tilting that. So yeah, really exciting stuff. I won't show you all of them. It'll be something to look forward to, but it's been a fun sort of challenge for us to step up the brush engine and find some bugs, because there have been one or two. So yeah, that's the texture brush, long awaited, one of the two main settings that was really needed to unlock big possibilities with our brushes. So yeah, that's that.
Lovely. So we're gonna try to release this relatively soon. We're just nailing down a few more bugs, but hopefully this should be out within the near future. We are going to aim to at least get this out by March. So outside of brushes, then, shall we move on to the next update? Bojana, would you like to take it away with art spaces?
Sure. I think I need to Ryan to stop sharing though. Thank you. Okay, now it's on me to choose the right screen. All right. Okay, so for the art spaces, so far, and art spaces have been not really visible. You had to have a specific link to be able to join and see what's inside of the art space. And now that's changing, and we are making art spaces discoverable within Magma site. So first of all, we've added the art space profile. You will be able to set your Artspace profile picture, banner image, add short description, and longer about page, where you can introduce your Artspace to people that are outside of it. In the future, there will also be option to post, similar to what we have in the user profiles, but that feature is not yet available for the Artspace. However, there will be an option to promote your art space as Artspace Art Jams. So we've added an option where you can run member-only art jams within your art space, or publish or run public art jams from the art space to promote it, basically. So what is very cool about this feature is that you can use this to kind of set up your art jam before you publish it on the main page. So this will actually send the art jam into the main art jams page. And now I probably will not be able to show this, but okay, now it's ongoing.
It's just somewhere in that list. But you
It's
are able to yeah.
yeah, yeah. Okay, yeah, but I wanted, but basically, yeah, it will show up on the list. Maybe I can change it to. Does it now change the page? No. Mm. Okay, let me maybe change the, just to showcase this. Okay, I'm gonna quickly share my entire screen for that. So yeah, if you're a user, then let's add some tags so we can actually find it. Okay. And you can see that once published on the main page, it's displayed under the art space, and you can actually use the option to request to join, because this is something also that we added since the art spaces now, there will be an public access to these art spaces, so you will not get crowded with join users joining your art space. We added the option in the Artspace setting for you to set up your join setting. Basically, you can keep the invite only mode, or you can open your Artspace up to anyone to join, or choose request to join. And in that case, if somebody requests to join your Artspace, the admins of the Artspace will be able to then approve or deny the request. So yeah, this is the updates. Hopefully, it will help you grow your community, and we have a lot more to come in the art spaces. But that's the update for now.
I also want to mention that when it comes to the general vision of where we want to take art spaces, as you probably are familiar or might be familiar, when it comes to the art spaces that you create, it's generally hard to, I guess, gain visibility and really grow these communities. And as Magma grows and we realize that there are really only a limited number of ways in order to expand your audience and meet new people, we are slowly evolving art spaces into a larger part of Magma in which people would be able to find circles to connect with, even outside of drawing. So this next feature is something that we've been working on for quite some time, in which we'll be showcasing new changes to chat, as well as new settings that are going to come onto the future. So one thing to mention is that um, in the foreseeable future, we are going to make it so art spaces can be found publicly, which is an option that will be similar to like the Art Gems panel, which you would click on and you'll be able to find art spaces across Magma in order to find certain communities. But currently, as you might be familiar with, what can be done in an art space is relatively limited. And this is because, like, currently the only things that you can really do right now is just create drawings and post links and projects. This was mainly done before in the past to be used in conjunction with like, oh, another like chat bot or like chat server or chat app, for instance. But as Magma evolves and we have evolved our chat engine, we are glad to introduce that we are going to be doing quite a few changes to enable you to connect and talk with people outside or outside of drawings, but still within Magma. So, can you see my screen?
Yes.
Yes. Okay, perfect. So this is feature B, which is one of the places that we're really using right now in order to test Magma and the art spaces. And currently, we have been working quite heavily on improving how chat is really going to function. As you can see, we are rocking a really fresh new UI since the last time we introduced Artspace Chat. But now we have made it so you can set certain roles within your art space with greater functions instead of chat. You can create specific chat channels for specific things. As you can see, emoji is a bit broken right now. You can still have art references into chat rooms and whatnot. But something new is the lounge, or I guess voice rooms, in which you're able to join voice channels and chat with other people. You can also mute, you can also deafen, you can also turn on camera, and you can also share your screen. But this opportunity would allow people or give people the option in order to really talk and chat and build connections in Magma, even outside of drawings. So outside of this, I also want to showcase something particularly cool, because one thing that you might be asking is what is the difference between, I guess, Magma and another like chat group or chat function in which you would be able to talk and communicate with people. So one way to showcase this is that normally in art spaces you're able to like open up drawings or open up chat and really just come together and draw, right? But let's say for example, I open this drawing in a separate space, and I just like go ahead and really draw and doodle and yeah and whatnot. If the drawing is live, it will actually showcase on the side of the art space. So this way, you are able to instantly figure out what canvases people are drawing on, what are like the hot new things that people are interacting with, and where to find people. And in these communities, you'd be able to talk with them, hop into their drawings in order to draw with them, and build relationships that way. Outside of this, we're also doing a greater revamp of how the chat system works within Magma. So in the chat, for instance, you can now, this is the new display. I'm chatting, test, test, test. But then outside of this, there's also DMs. So you can hop between chat rooms and you can start texting each other and chatting. And then outside of that, in case there are people that are being particularly problematic, you can also block them. So for instance, this is Mark and I can also just block him and just remove contact from talking with Mark or talking with other people. And just in case you are curious, because we know there is a similar logic in Art Jams that's a bit finicky, yes, you can also go ahead and unblock people down here. This chat UI has to get moved, but in Spirit, you are able to chat with people, text people, but if they're being problematic, you'll be able to block them as well. But in some, chat rooms are coming to art spaces, calling is coming to art spaces, DMs are coming to Magma. Blocking is coming to Magma. Public art spaces are coming to Magma. There are quite a couple new things to really showcase here, which we're really excited about. And in the spirit of this, as mentioned in our past announcements and in our past blog, we are interested in having quite a few art spaces right up and ready to go before the public launch. So if you are interested in creating let's say, an art space primarily focused around a specific topic. So I know we had someone interested in creating an art space for MCY for like Minecraft YouTubers. You could create one around like specific drawing techniques, or if you're a large creator, create it around people who would be interested in following your work. All of these different options are things that we're really interested in exploring further. And if you're interested in beta testing all of these features before we publicly announce them and create these art spaces before everything goes live, feel free to do so. In case you need a link, I will post this link from product updates into the chat here. 1 second, copy link. Just so if you're interested in creating, quickly making a community in advance that we can hop on and really interact and draw with other people, you'll be able to do so before we go live. Anything else you want to comment on, Ryan, Bojana? If not, I think that covers the new features.
Yeah, I think that covers it. One thing maybe you didn't show is even with obviously with all these new things coming to Artspaces, we have to think about new permissions, and so roles are getting some added different permissions available, but also different color roles so that you can easily identify them in the online status of people in your art space, which is quite nifty. Similar to what we have on Discord already, right? You can kind of see people broken up into different roles with different colors. It's a similar thing being applied.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, definitely. And very cool thing about it is that we are planning on merging the roles for art gems and inherit them from the art space. So basically, you will not have to reassign roles, invite your moderators to the art gems that you lead. You can just use Artspace role setting for that.
Nice.
And this is something that we're interested in also looping other big art jam creators into. We have contacted quite a few of the like a big art jam players, but the long-term future is that if you are a group of friends or a group of moderators who'd be very interested in hosting or like increased moderation permissions, the future goal is that for these really large events that you would host them through art spaces, because through art spaces you'd be able to have more complex permissions, more complex and I guess better team sharing moderation capabilities. And furthermore, if you would like to continue relationships or continue conversations even outside of the art space, that is something you are most certainly able to do via the new text and via voice channels. And outside of that, what else is coming to art spaces? Role gating is something that we're also implementing or thinking of implementing soon. So the opportunity to make it so only certain roles can see certain channels. NSFW toggles for art spaces will be coming out before public art spaces get announced, just so everything is really set in stone for different types of communities that we really want to reach out to. Just quite a few exciting things with regards to where we want to take Magma, and we're interested in really showing it off to you all as the announcement date arrives. If so, let us start discussing the AMA questions then. So if you have any questions, feel free to chuck them in the chat. But first, I'm going to go over a couple questions from the AMA channel. I see there are quite a few. I see, oh, Deb, you posted quite a few, as well as Bacon Soda. So probably won't answer every single question here because there are quite a bit. But if we can answer, well, we'll see if we can pick a couple questions that we think everyone would be interested in hearing about. So first, will there be an option for users to upload brush settings with current brushes they want to share with everyone? So the answer is yes, it is planned for the future, but it's not something that we are currently working on at the moment. The reason why is we're still experimenting with creator brush packs in order to understand what settings that we really need first in order for this to really kick off and be successful. So it's something that we are still actively experimenting with. Second question, will we be able to rearrange our brushes? I don't have visibility in terms of whether or not that's something to come into the future. But that is a good thing to flag. Ribbon settings. Ryan, do you know anything about ribboning?
No, I don't. I don't.
I just see it. They're also asking about whether or not Magma would make a ribbon brush setting tool, like in CSP. So immediately, I don't have an answer to that, but that's also because I'm not too well versed, in terms of ribboning. So I don't have an answer to that. But I can say that currently on the roadmap, it's something that we're not going to be developing yet until, for instance, like we see big demand for it, or it's like, for instance, it's like a necessary part of a creator brush pack that we're currently going ahead to develop. Outside of that, filters, yes, is something that we also are aware that we want to develop, but we currently haven't, or it's not currently on a roadmap to implement new filters right now because of quite a few other features that are currently being developed. Layer questions, layer selections, layer folders. Yes, we know that is very important. Not on the roadmap. No, it is on the roadmap, I think. I know it's something that we are currently, like, well, we've talked about a lot in the past and we've focused a lot of dev work into maybe looking into, but we haven't started active dev work on that just yet. Artspace questions, role restricted channels. Yes, that is something we're going to be doing. Pinned messages or chats. Mark is not here. I cannot answer about whether or not pinned messages or chats are going to be coming. I guess Damien Wojtek, I see you all are also in the audience. If you do know, feel free to chime in, but I don't really have too much visibility with regards to pinning messages. Sounds like a quick window. Don't know. Okay, it basically goes up and to see whether or not Mark decides to develop it. Perfect. Profile gallery, yes. Will we have a bio profile cosmetics for Magma? Frame badge, yes. Artspace badges, profiles, cosmetics is within like the creator economy / Mag's pipeline. It's something that we are actively thinking of developing in the future, but currently right now, it is not something that devs are actively working on. Okay, Bacon Soda. Will there be any ways for art spaces to interact with each other in the future, i.e. competitive art space contests, art space collaboration events, art space art trades? If you're thinking of like Magma specific ones, so it's like, oh, a channel for art spaces to directly like compete or whatnot, it's not something that we have on the roadmap right now, but we hope that after implementing a couple of these changes and the ability to communicate, outside of canvases, maybe a couple of these art space interaction initiatives can be done from a very grassroots project. Next, random people joining your jam sessions if they follow you, followers and friends. Bojana, were you the one who talked about friends in the past, or was that someone else?
I think Friends has been on our minds for a while now, and it's definitely something that would make a lot of things easier, permission-wise. It's not on the radar right now. I think a lot of it can be solved with the Artspace roles, but we will also like have to look into that after like the Artspace revamped is released.
Nice, for sure. Next, 18 plus gems have little no safeguards for underage persons. Will be stronger safeguards set to prevent minors from entering mature boards. Yeah, we know this is something really important that we've discussed in the past, and I've actually been personally having conversations with a couple ID verification providers. And we are also thinking of like strengthening our safeguards in terms of expanding our moderation team in order to really help with this issue. However, as you probably have already or potentially seen in like the last couple like of weeks, there have been a few updates with regards to ID verification providers. some of which involve like some big providers being revealed to be selling data to AI, as well as other like concerns with regards to that. So to be honest, after like seeing a bit of this, we're taking a bit of a step back in terms of using ID verification and all of that. We're gonna have to do a bit more research into figuring out how we can really execute this well without compromising user data, which is the main thing that we're afraid of. Like one big thing that we can't really do here is that we can't become an ID verification provider, and as a result, we can't like for instance store your data, or we wouldn't want to store your data and all your ID and all of those sorts of information on our side. So we would need to find a provider that would enable it so we can have age verification features, but also have a lot of trust that the information is deleted and that none of the data is going to a party that we would not want the information to go to. Magma batch systems, yes, something that we've discussed for in the past. As mentioned, this will come along with future updates to the creator economy when we decide to get to that. Canvas info feature, time spent on canvases slash jams. That is an interesting one. We have discussed like showing in Artspace profiles like time spent or number of brushstrokes. But for specific canvases or jams, I don't think that is on the roadmap immediately. Search engine added to feed. Being able to search for posts across user galleries. Not something that we currently have on a roadmap yet, but as Wojtek and Damien both are in the chat here, if this is a quick win that we can implement, that would be great. I find that in higher size canvases, merging layers can be very strenuous on GPU. Similar to joining multiboard with higher canvas res can straight up crash a site for lower processing power devices. Will there be a fail-safe set to prevent loading crashes? Ryan, do you have something to comment here? With regards to...
I don't know about any
I
sort
guess.
of fail-safe, and I'm surprised to hear about this with multiboards, because in general, we see improved performance with people on multiboards because of users being spread out across multiple drawings on a multiboard. So before, you would have noticed how you start to lag a lot when you have 20 users all with a bunch of layers on a single art jam. But what happens with multiboard, that tends to spread out and the strain is reduced. But I do see a possible way that this can happen, where someone on a lower end device could crash out. But yeah, no particular safeguards at the moment, but we are always trying to optimize and improve performance as we go along. So it's helpful when these sorts of things get reported to us and we can investigate further, especially if you have that kind of detailed info. Like there was a multi-board, the canvas I joined was this resolution, and when I tried to do X, it crashed. That's always really helpful for us.
As mentioned, animation is, we know it's something that a lot of our users want, and it's something that like we know will probably be a big hit. But fundamentally, we're a drawing site. So if we're thinking of being a really big like animation software, probably not. But if it's when it comes to GIFs or sequence or like short, like 5-second animations, maybe, that potentially could work. I see cool Riff, you said Brian was showing signs, so I just need to double check to see if he's in the chat. He is in the chat. All right, let me bring him back. Thank you for the flag, Cool Rift. Invite to speak.
Thank you. Sorry about that, guys. I've had zero internet issues like for a month, like at all, since I've been in this particular apartment. And obviously, while doing the live stream, there would be a hiccup, right?
Obviously.
Of course. Of course, it will show off at the worst time, but it is okay. It is fine. Was able to cover that. I just mentioned, Ryan, just so you were in the loop, that if people are experiencing any specific technical related questions, that they are more than happy to contact you via support@magma.com, and then you'll be able to see if we can help dive into their specific issues.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. Andre W 2002 questions. Number one, will we be able to share specific prices made in art spaces on our gallery without inviting anyone to the art space? Oh, yes. So, Bojana, would you like to comment on this? This is basically with regards to like publishing from art spaces.
Yeah. I was mentioning that we are planning definitely to ability to post from the art space, and that would include internal art space posts, but as well posting outside of the art space. That would make the post public and visible in the gallery.
Lovely. And out of curiosity, do we have like a timeline in terms of when this will come out? Is it going to be in part of the major Artspace update, or is this coming after the first wave?
I'm I think now the first wave will be the listing, but I think the posting is right after that. It's in the works.
Okay, lovely. Um, Give me a second. There is an issue on the canvas. 1 minute. Done. All right. Back to this. Sorry about that. There was a troll. Uh, okay. Back to other questions. Will layer groups ever be a thing? Yes, it's something that we definitely will be developing in the future. In terms of when it will be implemented, not we don't have too much visibility on it yet, though we know it's very important. Mirror tool will ever be a thing. Similar vein, we know that there are quite a few important tools that we are currently going to be developing. But when it comes to, I guess, immediate priorities or immediate things that we're developing right now, not something yet. Though I think it would be a little interesting, I guess, to talk about um, what is planned, I guess, in terms of the immediate like drawing tool roadmap. Wojtek, or I guess Damien, would you like to comment a little bit on this? Because I see that you're in the chat. In terms of, I guess, the next immediate like drawing related update. Okay. Question is basically, what is the next big drawing tool related update? I guess not when, as like what specifically. Okay. So there you go. Potentially symmetry. But when it comes to the specific drawing tool related features, we'll really want to look into, I guess, art spaces and whether or not that requires any other updates first, and then afterwards you'll be going back to potentially drawing tool related changes. So possibly symmetry slash mirror, in order to answer that specific question. Um, Moving on to, are there any other AMA questions? Are there ever going to be changes on where ads are displayed? Vane, specifically when it comes to this, are you asking about on the canvas, or I guess in terms of whether or not it would like leave the editor? I see that you're in the chat. See that you're in the audience, so just wanted to float that out there. Mainly because you currently can change the position of ads. But out of curiosity, just want a bit of clarity just so we answer your question correctly. If ads are ever going to be moved outside of the canvas, mostly. Well, currently, unfortunately, that's not particularly on our roadmap just yet. The reason being is that when it comes to, I guess, ads and ad placement, like most of our users do spend a lot of time on canvases. And as a result, moving it outside of canvases basically just wouldn't justify the use of moving it. However, when it comes to optimizing for smaller screens, that is something that we want to address. So specifically making it, our goal is basically to test and optimize ads so that if ads are on your canvas, that there is still ample space in order to draw and really work with. Specifically, when it comes to like smaller screens and whatnot, would be great if you could contact support, send a screenshot, and then afterwards you can look into your case further. And if there are other like ad optimizations that we can do, feel free to let us know. Like we've also seen in, for instance, in the past that for smaller devices, certain parts of the ad screen are hidden. So, for instance, the ability to remove specific ads by inviting people to Magma, as well as like clicking the button in order to shift the position, they are hidden. And as a result, we also have been optimizing for that as well, outside of general performance changes and really addressing all of those sorts of things. Um, but long story short, no, probably not going to be moved outside of the canvas. But in terms of optimizing for space, so you can draw with them on the canvas, that is something that we are actively trying to address. Um, okay, perfect. So I think that's all the AMA questions in the channel. So now I'll turn to the questions that I posted on the stage. I'm just gonna read a couple of these things as well. Neon mentioned that it would be great to rearrange brushes, so maybe that's something that we could potentially do. Uh, Art Fight Team Artspace, indeed. Um, so when will the selection tool have anti-aliasing? Ryan, would you like to cover this?
I don't have an answer for that. I have seen it come up. People have requested it. I mean, it is in the realm of possibility, but it's not something actively being worked on at the moment.
Mhm. So, unfortunately, not it's currently not something that we're currently actively working on right now. But if there would be great to maybe potentially dive into specific use cases in order to really figure out how we can really optimize for that likewise.
Yeah,
Um,
absolutely.
but yeah, we currently have around 10 more minutes to go. So if anyone has any questions, feel free to send them away in the chat. Um, yeah, that would be great. And then wow. Just checking out the canvas, y'all have really drawn some really cool things.
I like how it's spreading over into the second board, but
Oh,
maintaining the image across it.
Mhm. Canvas 2 Electric Boogaloo. Really lovely stuff. But yes, as flagged, if you are interested in potentially making an art space and testing out a couple of these features before it goes live, feel free to fill in the link that was posted above. I can send it again here. Um, this would make or give you the opportunity to create maybe like a fun art space before we go live, just so that when it does hop on, people will have many options and many opportunities to really hop and join. Um, and outside of that, really just hopeful that y'all would be really interested in the new chat changes and whatnot. We know blocking and chatting are some things that a lot of users have been requesting. Both for I guess personal reasons, but also to further interact and talk with other people. So we're really interested in rolling this out in the new future. I see Vane and Andre, and likewise are typing. Andre, sometimes custom brushes will have a lot of different settings to change. Will there be a way to import and export brushes easier so you can take multiple screen? Yeah. So this is something that we addressed before. This then the short question is yes, but the reason why we're doing these creator tests is in order to understand like what specific settings people would be interested in implementing, and then once that is done, how to import and export it in a way that makes it so like you can easily access the brushes, but also that you can easily also find brushes to quickly download and quickly draw with as well. No problem. Could the reference window be able to sit on top of other windows, and could there be more flexibility in resizing and positioning different windows? Um, Reference window be able to sit on top of other windows. What specifically do you mean, Vane? Because unless maybe Ryan or Bajana, you know specifically what they're saying, but from what I can tell, the reference window does sit on top of other canvases. Well, the reference can be split out from the browser.
Yeah, it's at the top for me.
Yeah, what's on top often is like the last interacted with window. Mm. There is the option to pin the reference window, although I don't think it's the best implementation of it. It was more of an experiment. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, if you were to move it into another window, you may as well just open another window of Magma and open the reference image in your My References folder, then you can have it side by side. Yeah. What is the other component sit on top? So with more flexibility in resizing, we have, if you're on a touch device, like a iPad or Wacom Move Ink, which also supports touch on a computer, then you can actually use the pinch gesture to make it smaller or to expand it. So resizing it can be a bit easier. One of the unfortunate things with implementing that when it comes to the reference window is that using that same function to zoom in to the actual reference image is lost. So there's maybe a bit more room to experiment and come up with interesting solutions there around resizing things.
Not sure if that answered your question, Bene. Transparency color picking from Likewise. I don't think so. Will there ever be something in the future? Could be a quick win, maybe, but I don't think that's not an immediate priority for us yet, as it hasn't really been brought up. But
So
potentially in the future, yeah.
Just to understand it better, when you say transparency color picking, like what exactly is meant by that? Do you mean like actually being able to paint transparent pixels, or where there's some sort of recognition of whether the pixel is at a lower opacity and pick the full opacity of that? You
Yeah, I
mean
think the
paint with
latter.
transparent pixels, I think. Yeah, I know that's something that Photoshop has, which can be quite nice. No plans for it, but if there's enough demand for it and we can see some examples of how people use it, it's something to look at. Basically, the razor, but just for brush. Yeah, okay, cool. So I do understand.
Nice. So
Last time I
yeah, not
encountered the
something
caterpillars.
that we've seen heavily requested, but would be really cool. Thank you for the guide, Nexus, as well. Again, Sven, I'm not sure if we fully answered your question there, but we hope that the comments here were helpful with regards to it. Lovely, lovely. Most active board I've seen from Marvin. Y'all are really going at it. I see Vanna likewise and Bambi typing as well. So lovely. If there are additional questions or comments, would love to discuss them as well before we end off in around 3 minutes. And then once this is done, Ryan, once you'll be able to download it, or I guess we can do it tomorrow because I know it's a bit late for you. We can send it, I guess, in the announcement channel just so people can catch up.
Yep, sure.
Okay, nice. Not pin but change to super simple mode does give me the opportunity.
Great.
This would be way out of the ballpark of realistic features, but I want to be able to force people into canvases. That would
Join
be
me.
fun, but I also can see the opportunity for abuse likewise.
Totally.
But it goes to force people into canvases. That would be pretty funny. But I see at least one potential problem with that. Yoink.
I like this idea of a jail canvas on a multi-board. They would have joined willingly, but then you can lock them away. You're not allowed on the board.
Yeah.
Naughty corner for you. Good stuff.
Good stuff. All right, we have around 2 more minutes. So, any questions? You can't leave until you draw the outline. That's evil. That's so evil. If any questions, feel free to ask away. Can we blow up all the grief first? We under. Do not listen to Wojtek. No, we cannot. I wouldn't even know how we would do that. But no, I mean we understand the annoyance and hatred, we really do. But as much as we would like, we would think batting is suffice.
I see.
Or
Quick
punishment
last
do
question.
mass.
That Bambi asking about Safari
Yes.
browser and copying and pasting with clipboard is a weird thing on Safari. Generally, the best thing to do is if you have an image you want to bring in, rather than copy paste, first save the image to your computer and then use the paste file function in your edit menu to search for it on your device. It's a couple of extra steps, but it's the more reliable way to bring something in.
Lovely. Hopefully that helps your question, Bambi. Very nice. Okay. I see, Gio, that you're typing, so I will wait till you are done, and then afterwards, if it's a question, we can address it. If not, we can end off. Well, I'll just wait for you to finish typing first, if you are typing something. Lovely. Magma app mix of online form would be nice. Yeah. Can't disclose too much with regards to development in terms of a Magma app. I know, Damien, that you have developed or been developing that in the past, but not sure about like the future roadmaps in terms of where we're really going with that. But yes, we have been developing it on the side. Yeah, local pricing for certain countries. We know that's a concern, Neon. It's just, yeah, it's a complicated one. But when we continue to dive into creator economy and we start investigating into that, that's something that I think the management team would be interested in really discussing a bit more. We have an alpha version of the app, but it's more like Discord. It needs internet access function. Well, yeah, there we go. So, the answer is working on it for that. But anyways, I think that is it with regards to the Q&A. If so, thank you all so much. We hope that we've been able to answer all the questions that have been put out. And if not, feel free to always ask us in general, or I guess by contacting the team. We'd love to really continue talking with you and really diving into this further. But if so, that is it for us. Thank you so much for attending this AMA. And the team will see you next time. All right.
Thanks,
See
everyone.
you.
Bye.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.